In the last section, we placed some styling inside of our header component. I want to glance back at our mockup real quick, and I just want to point out the intent here is that our text should be centered within this like larger rectangle thing right here. And definitely the intent with this larger rectangle is that we should have a border on the bottom, just to make sure that it's clear that, hey, this is the header section right here. So we need some mechanism, some nice way to make sure that we can center the text on here and also make sure that we've got this kind of nice border on the bottom. So I'm going to flip back over to our code. So the text tag that we're using right now is just about showing text, and it doesn't really have a lot of leverage for kind of positioning itself about the screen. Whenever we want to move elements around on the screen or kind of center it as we just saw, we're going to use a different tag called the view tag. We'll import the view tag from the React Native library as well. The view tag is another kind of primitive element that we can use to position elements or wrap certain elements and style elements inside of our application. So let's check out a diagram real quick. There we go. So this is kind of a representation of how we're going to use that view tag. We're going to use the view to kind of use up all this extra space in here, kind of give it a set height more than what the text tag takes up by itself. And inside of the view is going to be the text tag. So we're going to wrap the text tag with a view. So let's fix up our JSX to reflect that. Remember, JSX for the most part behaves just like HTML. So because this is now going to be a multi-line JSX statement, I'm going to add in my parentheses, like so. Make sure that you did not leave the semicolon at the end of the text tag over here. And then next, we'll wrap the text tag with a view. So now we're showing a view, and inside of it is our text. So you can think of this view tag as being really a utility knife of sorts, as it fills many different roles. In this case, we're wrapping our text with a view tag to make positioning easier. We'll set a height on the view tag, which will function as kind of more like the wrapping box of sorts and position the text tag within it. Okay. So now that we've got our multi-line JSX tag here, let's add in some additional styling to style this view tag. Inside of the styles object at the bottom, I'll add on another object property called view style. And then inside of here will be some additional number of rules to style specifically just the view tag. First, we'll make sure that everything works by just setting up a background color. So I'll set a background color with the, you might guess, background color property. I'm going to pass it a color, F8, F8, F8. This is hexadecimal right here. It's going to appear as kind of like a neutral egg white sort of color. In general, again, all the CSS properties, or all the style properties, I should say, tend to map up to the CSS equivalents. You can check out the React Native documentation to figure out all the different styling properties. Throughout the course, I'll be throwing just a ton of different properties on here, so you can either go check out the documentation to figure out all the different properties, or you can just stick around here and we'll definitely be using a whole bunch of them over time. So next, now that we've defined the view style, we will define it inside of our component as well. So we'll say view style, and then we'll use it on the view tag, and we'll define it just the same way as we did earlier by passing in this style prop. So I'll say style is view style. Again, you might be curious why we don't just say, style.viewStyle and style.textStyle right here. The thought process is that by using destructuring, we just remove duplicate references to this styles object. So totally up to you. If you don't like doing the destructuring ahead of time, I'm not going to fault you on that. You could just as easily say styles.viewStyle. All right, so let's again refresh our simulator and make sure that view color is being applied properly. Okay, so it's very subtle, and it probably doesn't even show up on the video, but there's definitely kind of a subtle off-white coloring to our header right here, being applied by that background color that we applied as the view style. So definitely good for a start. Let's continue in the next section and use this view tag to start positioning our text in the nice center middle of the header area. So let's continue that in the next section.